Okay, we're going to call to order the Tuesday, February 6, 2024, 3 p.m. School Board Workshop. Please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red flares gleaming gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay, we're going to move on to roll call.
Cheryl Massero.
Colleen Conklin, present.
Christy Chung.
Will Furry present.
LaShaka Moore.
Did Sally chime in there?
Sally Hunt on the phone.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we are going to move on to number 5, adoption of agenda. Any changes or
I do not have any.
Okay, very good. Then we'll move on to number 6, public comment. Do we have anybody signed up for public comment? Okay. Is there anybody that would like to come forward to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on and close public comment and move on to agenda item 7, finance consent.
Good afternoon, Chairman Furry, board members, and Superintendent Moore.
Welcome, thank you.
We are here to answer any questions you have on finance consent items.
Okay, so we have 7.01, request approval of Imagine Charter financials. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to 7.02, request board approval of finance budget and amendments. Any questions?
I have
Okay, yes,
just a
please.
question on the 5,000 for outside counsel. Which was that for?
That was for the Schutz and Bowen.
Shut the Bowen. Does that conclude our agreement with them, or we still?
I believe there will probably be another invoice for just recent work. I'm not sure. This 5,000, I do believe, has already been paid out in full, so any work they've done since then.
They'll bill us back for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you'll see
At the
another
hourly
budget
rate?
revision.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, that's what I wanted to find out about. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for staff? Okay, so then we will move on to 7.03, request board approval, purchase order over 10,000.
I think that kind of goes back to the Sniff and Spellman is in here for 30 grand.
That was for the contract that was approved at the last board meeting, and we estimated 30,000 just for the rest of the year.
It's placeholder.
Okay, so
Correct.
that's hold, that's not what we didn't send them, we're just gonna pay them hourly?
Yes, so we may not
That's
use
what-
all of it.
Yeah.
And budgeted.
Correct.
Okay. No, I just comment that I already talked to Mr. Bush back there, but I'm glad to finally see they're replacing the air conditioners at the youth center, because they're 20-plus years old. So I complimented this group for being able to keep them operative for 20-plus years. Because we all have air conditioning systems, and we know how long Florida's last, and that's exceptional, so that's a big plus. That's it.
Okay, any other questions on this item? Seeing none, we'll move on. Request board approval of vendor payment, 7.04.
I do.
Yes, please, go right ahead.
Okay, no, I'm just curious. We paid Santegic on page 5, $61,875. So what, is that our licensing? Is that, what is that?
Can anyone from technology answer that question?
There's Tommy, do you know?
Oh, is that, sorry, I think that's safety.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's, I'm just curious, like, is that, we're gonna pay that annually, or where are we at on that? That's what I'm trying to find out. Okay.
I believe as part of our agreement with Syntegic, so it was probably a annual.
What was the original contract for the strategic? I'm pretty sure it's just a portion of that.
It is a
Yeah.
portion.
This is all within our startup of utilizing the program.
Okay,
I could follow up
Okay.
with Ms. Massaro.
Yeah, that's fine, because I'm curious, I don't know if that's, did we just pay for licenses? Did we just pay for the software? Is that, you know, that's what I'm trying to find out, what is that payment?
We can provide an update on what the
Yeah,
amount we
because
budgeted and
it's-
what has been paid since.
Yeah, that'd be
Mhm.
great. Okay, that's fine, thank you.
very good.
Patty, I don't know if you're gonna know this or not, but wait, I'll wait, because I think we're on the next agenda item.
Well, I haven't moved on yet.
Yeah.
Are you still on
Good.
vendor payments? Is that where your question is?
I'm on
Okay.
district financial, sorry.
Okay, gotcha. The 7.05, request board approval of the deletion of inventory. Any questions there? Okay, we will move on to 7.06, request board approval of district financial statements.
Line 3491, bus fees, not for school activities. I'm just curious, what is that?
Give me 1 second here.
It's revenue. Is it possible revenue from the charter scale schools for the bus?
It's a very small amount, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the
2,500.
percentage change of 350,000 almost.
Yes, I will, I believe that's when, let me get back to you on
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I look at this, I think this is a really important time to look at the finance of the district, because we're at the 6-month mark in our budget. So we should be looking close to 50%. We should either be getting close to 50% or like, and you'll notice some of these are exceptionally low, which we know Medicaid, the federal from the state is always late, okay? But as you go down the others, most of them are getting close to 50%. Some have exceeded that, which is wonderful. We like that. But for the time being right now, I think that's why this report this month is particularly important, because we have 6 months to go in our budget. So like 50% is where we should.
And some
It's
of
a
the
good
lag
sheet.
is due to timing on certain things too.
Yeah.
I will get a response to the board on that 3493.
Thanks.
Okay.
What was that number, 3493?
It's revenue account 3493.
Plus
No,
we-
sorry,
School activity.
91, 3491.
Is allotted.
I'm just curious what it is.
Yeah.
Not a big
makes sense.
deal.
I get it.
Great. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we're gonna move on to number 8, technology and innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Deasing is listed, he is not in the office, and so he has an amazing team that's gonna stand in his
We have all
place
seen this
today.
time.
Before we get to the technology, can I just ask a question? The ESSER grants, are all of the funds supposed to be expended by the end of this year, or do we have next year to spend them too?
No, we have up until, I want to say the date is like September.
30th.
Yes, September 30th.
Of 25?
24.
That's this year.
So remember, at one of the requests of the board is for us to bring back in February an update on where we are with ESSER.
Okay.
So you will be receiving that.
Okay. Because I'm looking at the available money and it's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah.
All right.
And we have been working on that and planning for those adjustments.
Very good.
All right, hello. We're here seeking approval to award the RFP for the data transmission services, which was sent out for bid as an E-rate eligible firm for our wide area network, which connects all of the networks across the district sites. It was sent out to meet the competitive bidding requirements for our federal E-rate dollars. The level of discount that we get for Flagler right now is 80% based on our free and reduced lunch and demographic or geographic location. As a result of the evaluation, the selection committee went with the top ranked respondent of the city of Palm Coast, which is who we've currently used now, but the funding comes out of local funds and the E-rate dollars. The contract term's 3 years with the availability to add one additional year 2 more times and starts July 1st, 2024. Currently, we pay $3,290 a month, and under the new plan, we'll pay $3,200 a month, so it goes down a little bit, and then increased speeds and connectivity with a new contract as well.
Okay, so this is like internet. This is like intranet or internet access that we're.
Intranet, yeah, it's how we get the internet out to every site
Okay.
in the district.
Got it. And is that like a fiber line or?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
Gotcha. All right. Any other questions on this here?
And can you guys, just for the public, just say who you are?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I'm Teresa Phillips, Instructional Technology.
Michael Pinto, Enterprise Network Engineer.
And I'm Josh Bowen, Systems Engineer.
All right. Thank
They
you
are
very
pretty-
much.
Thank you.
They are pretty amazing.
They're the best.
That was easy.
Okay, so academic services. Mr. Reeves.
I get the privilege of hanging out for just a few moments. Good afternoon, Board Chair, Superintendent Moore. Just a few things before you today. The first is some travel for some of our program people. Our first one is Margaret Reeves, no relation. She is one of the ag teachers at FPC, and there's an opportunity for her to attend a curriculum for agricultural science education in Kentucky this summer. It's going to be paid for out of our Perkins Grant and Kate funds, but it's a great experience and opportunity to kind of cross over with technology as it applies to veterinary science.
Excellent.
Any questions about that? Okay. The second one is for Heidi Alves. She is currently the president of FAST, the Florida Association of Science Supervisors for the state of Florida. And they pay for trips for their presidents, and she has an opportunity to attend the National Science Teacher Association Conference in Denver, Colorado. That is coming up in March. They are paying for all of her expenses for this trip and opportunity, so it's just a great opportunity for our staff to get exposure to what's happening nationally.
Questions? No? All right.
Okay.
Next one.
Moving on, 9.03. So after 8 months, we do have our MOU for student privacy data with the University of Florida. And so that's before you today. It's similar to the ones we did with Emory-Riddle, Daytona State, and our other higher institutional learnings. So this is the MOU rider that addresses our articulation agreement for student privacy, which we put in place for our other colleges and universities.
And just I guess for a point of clarification, Mr. Delaney, have you had a chance, well, maybe not yet, it would be for the actual board meeting, but you'll have an opportunity to review any of the contracts on here or MOUs?
I think so, yes.
Okay, great.
We can get together, certainly. So that's that one. And then we have 6 trips before you. 4 from Matanzas, 1 trip from FPC, and 1 trip from Indian Trails, which is our problem solvers teams heading out. There was 1 adjustment I made working with FPC. The teacher filled it out and put 2023 and not 2024. So I made that correction for the Thespian group that are heading over to Tampa this spring.
Can I assume that there's going to be a lot of new participants in the Matanzas High School Chorus that's working to go to
Well, you know,
Hawaii?
I offered my services
Yeah,
to go.
I think a board member
How about
has to go.
chaperones, right?
That's what I asked Ms. Bozeman,
Right.
and she said you'd have to go after me, so.
And they'll make some accommodations for kids that can't afford or raise the money?
They're working
that's
towards that.
important.
It's expensive, but we've done this before. We've had groups go overseas and done different events, and it's always a great opportunity for our students to travel and to
absolutely.
explore those things, and so it's just great opportunities for them.
Travel is education.
I will
Absolutely.
tell you that I was invited to go to Tampa. Don't get excited.
I was gonna say,
I thought she was
They
saying Hawaii.
invited me to come and see our
Steel
students
drum.
perform in Tampa, and that's where I discovered that they had this trip. And I looked and I said, "You invited me to come to Tampa, but you did not
Invite me to Hawaii."
that I would want to go and be a part of this." But we're very excited for our students.
That's great. Yeah.
So excited for them.
Good stuff.
Question. I
Yes,
do
ma'am.
want us to talk more about field trips. I don't know if this is a good time or we should talk about it in a business, just with like recent complaints and stuff. Is this a good time or should we?
Well, what is it? Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, like what constitutes, like what makes certain, you know, you hear about, oh, this isn't like a school trip, like, you know what I mean? Like, what makes it a school field trip and not?
Usually it's during the school day, but it can be outside the day. So there's some of these trips that are taking place, like the thespian stuff during spring break. And that's not uncommon, or during the summer, or activities like that. But they are school-related functions, meaning they're organized through their school as a trip representing the school in our district.
So,
Are we
Go
approving
ahead.
all of those? Are they?
just to give you background and context, we've been getting complaints
Okay.
about a particular employee that went with an organization that does student trips.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I know.
That's
That's
not
That's
not-
a different.
I think
That's
yeah,
That's not a
That's not-
sanctioned trip by us,
correct.
so we would have no,
But there is board policy around how we go about advertising information to our students. And so any type of trip, be it the one that you may be referencing, we would utilize board policy on how that information would be shared out to students.
I guess my concern is, what if something really bad did happen? Is it gonna come back on us? That sort of thing.
I will tell you that as an organization, we are definitely reviewing our procedures for field trips. And at an upcoming meeting, we will be making a recommendation to the board around, let me table it right here, the recommendation. We're gonna be updating what our procedures are so that we can all be on the same page. And then some recommendations to the board around opportunities for field trips that may come through your work as even liaisons, of how we get those things connected back to the district so the district staff can do the work to get the field trip approved.
It's
in the right
my
direction.
understanding that this field trip to Tallahassee was not a part of our schools, but our superintendent saved the day and helped those students, but it still came back like.
Yeah, it's definitely some procedural things that we will need to review as an organization and as a board to make sure those things don't happen when we are collaborating with other organizations. So all of these field trips that we're discussing right now, these are field trips that are being organized and sponsored by the school district.
Right.
Where it gets very confusing is field trips that are in collaboration with other organizations. So I'm going to use the Education Foundation as an example, and as well as TRIO through the Daytona State. So we partner and we take our students on trips and we take them to different colleges and all of those things. So staff works with the Education Foundation to ensure that the trip aligns with what board policy says. And so it's a great place for us to review and make sure that we're all on the same page around what the procedures are, what's the expectation. There are some things that I can sign. There are some things that I can sign in the event of an emergency. But if a student is going out of county, out of overnight, those things should be brought to the board in a timely manner in order for the board to approve.
But again, that's only if it's a school district sanctioned event.
Exactly.
And I think that we have to work on making sure that's super clear to parents,
Right.
that this is a school sanctioned trip.
Yes.
This is not.
And I
I
think
agree.
there's definitely confusion there.
Yes.
Yeah, but let me tell you that particular trip that you're speaking about is a partnership with the school district. We've run that trip 15 years, at least 15 years, because they ran it when I was here, and I ran it at
Okay,
that
but
time.
And I
did
said
it come
we-
before us?
No, but I can tell you why, and
I don't think you can say exactly why.
Exactly why.
That
Well,
is
there's-
why we need to do the investigation that we're doing. That is
Yes.
why we need to, as an organization, make sure that there are clear steps and procedures for how field trips are approved, how field trips are organized when we're partnering with a different organization. Because it happens, right? Mr. Furry had an opportunity from an outside person that says, let's allow our student to go to Tallahassee to sing, right? So he brought that to me, I brought it to staff. We had to get those things organized so that that student can go and be a part of that, but it also has to align with board policy.
And it should have been brought to the board. I mean,
And the trips you mentioned, we got the emergency signature for the trips to make sure that.
And the time frame, yes,
Because it
yes,
was such a tight time frame, but it followed the policies.
yes.
So I thought initially we were talking about the international trip.
I think it
So they're
bleeds
both
over.
a little bit
Yep.
of the same,
Yeah.
right?
They are,
And yes, right?
yes.
So here's the only thing that I would be a little concerned about. When we're looking at the procedures, because we have employees who during the summertime may work with an educational travel company, but they may also work with a sports camp,
Yeah.
right? They may work with, sports camp is the only, they may do tutoring, right, for whatever reason. That are not, those events are not sanctioned by the school district, but we may be advertising. I would just be careful when we're looking at this to say, we're not gonna allow anything to be hung in the hallway for a football camp or a trip. I mean, parents have to do their due diligence as well to know this is an organized trip, right, with a company. And just because there's a Flagler County employee doesn't mean it's a school-sponsored or a district-sponsored event or trip.
It needs to be clear. It needs to be very clear, and on whatever paper, permission slip that's being signed, it needs to clearly state that this is not a Flagler School sanctioned trip or something, whatever the right language is.
I just don't want us to have a knee-jerk reaction and
no
just kind of,
No.
you know.
You guys, can you let me know when I can make a comment about that also?
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, so Dr. Conklin, originally I also thought that the conversation was about the international trip. And this is something that I have followed up with Superintendent Moore on. I really do think that it is just an absolute liability for us to allow our schools to be turned into a marketplace. I will tell you, I am in the travel business, and there are personal incentives to people getting so many people signed up for a trip. So I mean, I think we have evidence of at least one parent believing that a particular trip is associated with the school because it is advertised on the school grounds. So I would just ask my fellow board members, what benefit does Flagler Schools get by allowing staff members to advertise non-Flagler Schools products inside of our schools? To me, there's no benefit to us, there's only liability. So, I mean, I would ask we consider a policy around not allowing any non-school, you know, obviously we sell school rings, we sell the yearbooks.
I would disagree.
There's different events that families can pay for, but I just really think this is something that there's really no upside, there's only liability, and I would encourage us to think about a policy around it.
But Sally, I'm not sure I would agree that there's liability on us just because we have an employee working for an organization. My only fear about having a knee-jerk reaction to this and just saying, no, we're not going to do anything, we're not going to advertise or share information about anything, is these are all opportunities for our kids. They're all opportunities, whether it's an international trip or it is a sports activity during the summer or a league or a team. If we're going to treat one way, we have to treat all of them the same way. And I think there's great benefit to just sharing community information out there here with our parents. Parents
So
should
if-
do the due diligence.
If I can bring it back to, we are looking into both trips to ensure that both trips, one, did it follow board procedure and policy? If it didn't, where was the mishap? And bringing that information back to you. We will bring that information back to you,
Okay.
and we'll bring back the policy around advertising information to
Great.
students to make sure that the language is very clear on those flyers that state that this is not organized through Flagler Schools.
Right.
Excellent.
Like maybe we just need something of the signature. I
Yeah.
understand this is not a
Yeah.
Flagler School,
Clarifying.
You know.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have operational services. Mr. Bush.
Good afternoon, Board Chair.
Mr. Bush, did I see you're part of the leadership class?
It's
Going to be graduating soon?
Yes, I am.
Congratulations.
One more class, and then we graduate.
Thank you.
So I'm just passing out the handbook, a copy of the handbook and a copy of the waived fees. I mean, that are up here. I just figured that it would be a lot easier if we were following along. So good afternoon, Chair Furry Board, Superintendent Moore. I bring before you the 2023-2024 use of facilities. Go to the slide first, please. The next one. So what we'll be going over is they're going to go through the changes of the handbook, and that's why I printed it out, just so you can see some of the red lines. And we're going to go over the waived fees, and then a partnership with the Ed Foundation, and then your recommendation. So in the handbook on page 1, it's basically some minor changes to the board, the names, the district, and the chair changes. Page 5, we're just deleting, and there it had specific numbers. We're just referencing board policy 320 section 3 and not actual numbers. And then on page.
Corey, can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So on B, right, if an organization, because I've heard this sometimes that the limit is so high with the $1 million of insurance, it says, can they still purchase? It says if you do not have insurance, you may purchase it from Facilitron. Is that still?
Facilitron does not offer insurance. However, when they call our use of facilities, we do share insurance agency that we can offer. However, they can get insurance wherever they want. That's where the board policy 320 section comes, because that's where the limits of what they need to have to be covered.
Okay, and they still need to have the 100,000 and the 300,000?
I believe that is currently what
Okay.
board policy 320 states.
All right.
But we share insurance with them if they don't have one. But a lot of organizations
Have it with their
usually
nonprofit
only
status?
have, yes, ma'am. It was just some clerical change. I just felt it was better to reference board
Yeah.
policy instead of having specific
No,
numbers in there.
smart.
Then on pages 12 and 13 of the fee table, we just changed some verbiage to clean up and clarify some different, like the basketball court, it just said outdoor court, so we were just drilling down and making sure it was a little more descriptive on that. Then on page 14, you'll see to the Belterra Swim Racket Club, that is the $5 increase for the lifeguards for the minimum wage that you all, back in September, that was brought before you, which we're just now getting this changed in the handbook. Then on page 16, we will talk about this, why Miss Rizzo, I was gonna say Teresa, I didn't wanna say that. Miss Rizzo is up here, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So if you can go to the next slide. And that's all of the changes that are in the handbook. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can I?
Yes, please.
So just for the benefit of the public, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the strike-through list of organizations, we're not saying that the Flagler Youth Orchestra does not have a place in our school district. We're saying they're not a client because they're our program.
That is correct.
Okay, just,
Prior to, they were looked at that way. Now that they are part of the school district, they no longer would be considered waived because they are part of the
because they
district.
always were part of the school district.
Correct.
Just saying.
So what you see on the, you don't have a printout here, we're looking at the slides now, is the non-paying clients and limited use. So the list, the printout that I gave you, that is all of the non-limited clients list and the limited use. So in 2023, they, obviously they did not pay any fees, and we waived a total of $336,541. For employees, they paid $7,617, and a lot of that is the $285, $250 for the year, plus a $35 administrative fee is where most of that paid fee for the employees, and we waived a total of $237,079 for employees. Next slide.
As a follow-up, could you get a breakdown of that for us?
Yes. So for 22-23, we totaled waived fees combined as $573,620. And we're just bringing this forward to you just so you're aware of on use of facilities. You know, being with Facilitron, some of this information we were not able to have prior to, but we are able to start capturing that now using Facilitron and getting some of those numbers. The next slide. So this is something that we've been working very hard with Ms. Rizzo on and the district, that we identified an opportunity to work with the Education Foundation. And part of what we're doing, the Flagler County Education Foundation will be given a bank of hours, and that they will be authorized to use for Flagler County's school facilities. And I will now turn it over to Ms. Rizzo to do some explaining with that on our facilities.
So in the past, many community organizations who did partner with us or provide funding for us, we provided them use of facilities through the Ed Foundation. This is just a way for us to get it on paper and have a more cleaner process. So we will manage the Facilitron process, and number one question will be, you need to provide us with insurance. If not, then here's your resource to be able to have that insurance. So my staff will enter it into Facilitron, working with Corey's use of facilities manager, and then be able to manage that space for that organization. We're gonna have 100 hours to start. We'll see how that goes, and I'll just keep in constant communication with Corey about, you know, how it's going and that type of thing.
So Teresa, will the fees be that are collected, you guys aren't taking over all of the Facilitron stuff?
No, we're only
just the 100
only
hours.
Those organizations that are partnering with the Ed
Right.
Foundation, we will have an allotted amount of hours for them.
Okay.
Depending on what level they are donating to us, we will decide how many hours
Okay.
they get.
Okay. Might have more questions, but I'll ask them.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, I was looking at the rank hours. Where is that, those fees at as to what they had been charging in the past?
From what I understand, if we're talking about the hockey,
Yeah.
that is separate. They're not being charged an hourly rate. They currently, and we're looking into that, which I'm hoping that 24, 25, we're gonna bring something in front of you that was going to, because they're not, to try to, the way that they've been doing it has just been, I guess, a handshake or conversations that happen over the years. There's not been an hourly charge or anything like that. I tried to find documents or agreements or anything like that. I did pull up some emails that I know you had back in 2015, I believe in 2016, where there was conversations that went back and forth, questions, but it never seemed to, I couldn't find any like definitive answers
They
on
were
what
charged.
happened.
Yeah, they were charged.
Right, I believe they're paying
But
an
it was a
employee
flat-
rate.
it might have- Yeah, I think it was.
They're
employee
paying
rate,
an
'cause they had
employee
an
rate.
They had an employee heading that for a long time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so there's some, as of right now on their documents, they don't. They have somebody that does work in the school district, so they're working on adding their name to that, just, but we're just basically grandfathering them until June of 30, and then we're looking at some different, working with Brandon
Yeah.
and looking at some avenues for that, because they do service our kids. There's a lot of
Yeah.
benefit to that, so we don't want to
Price
shut
them
them out or price them out. So we're looking at lowering that, but also working at possibly a limited use type of scenario with them. So-
Just a little history, when that rink was built, the main purpose was an agreement, and it was a verbal agreement with the county,
Mhm.
that we supply activities
Yep.
associated with the rink, whether it be youth activities, adult activities, and it's a mixture now. It started out mostly adult, and now they have a lot of youth teams that are utilizing it. And so that's why I think we have to be somewhat careful to not price out that group, because that was our obligation to get that thing
Mhm.
put up, and when we made that agreement with the county. And I just want to make sure we preserve their rights too, you know, and whether it's a verbal agreement, I believe they have some kind of set, like I said, an employee rate is what they've been paying,
Mhm. Yeah.
which seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, Brandon's working on that
Yeah.
MOU that we're looking at, that possibly lowering, I mean, because it does not get used as much as we would like to, so we're hoping, working with them and doing some other things that we'll be able to, get some more kid activity and do some things there, so.
Yeah, yeah, so that's that, and then the Carver Center originally had been involved, and I'm glad to see it's not in here, because I guess from our last conversation with the ILA, the county's gonna set fees, so that's gonna be.
We are gonna work in
Yeah.
collaboration with the county around those fees, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I think that's what a lot of the public were interested in, to see what, the county's not gonna be making any decision on that until March.
Yes. Yes.
To March, so we were not under a gun to make any decisions like we were thought to be.
Mhm.
So, hopefully we'll see how that works, because in the past, it's always been the school district that has collected the money and then has placed it in the appropriate accounts by the bookkeepers and overseen it, what, you know, how it all worked out. And I don't think it wasn't going through Facilitron, was it?
No, ma'am.
No,
Not at that
hasn't
time.
been- Not, Carver hasn't been going through the Facilitron, it may.
It is now, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Right, so now it's gonna go through Facilitron, which
Mhm.
should
And it has been
help
for a while.
coordinate that.
Correct,
Yeah.
I'm just talking not the
Not that
whole
way.
time.
Not way
It's-
back there,
We've
yeah.
only
No, yeah,
had
yeah.
Facilitron for
Yeah, so-
approximately 2 years,
Yeah, so
so
that will help.
somewhere
Yeah,
they.
that'll help them coordinate too on their
Mhm.
end, which is a good thing.
And one of the things that Corey has really been working on with our use of facility manual, which is why the language for the Ed Foundation, is taking some of that institutional knowledge, taking some of the agreements that we cannot find anywhere and getting them into a place, you know,
Yeah.
when we talk about Flagler Forward, one piece of Flagler Forward is standard operating procedures that we can point people back to. So no one feels like we're giving this group here some type
Correct.
of special treatment versus another group. We're making it standard where people can go and look. And so I think he's done a really good job of looking at those things and identifying some things need to kind of remain where they are as we move to getting everything that needs to be in this document to the right place.
And the only other question I have is about the Flagler volunteer services. They're crossed off in the front.
On the list.
Who's the group that does our tax services right now? Who is that? It's doing the tax services at the GSB?
AARP.
Okay, so where do they fall under? Because remember,
They're-
we had a.
Oh, they're doing it
They're-
through the county, right?
No,
No, they wanted, yeah, they were,
they're on,
where would they fit in? That's what I was
under-
asking, where they fit.
under
I thought it was-
AARP.
Okay, it's not on here.
It's, yeah.
Where, no. I'm listening.
Are you?
No, they're,
I have it on mine, I just wanna make sure I have the list.
Okay, ARP, okay.
He looked at the list, it was like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
it's
was
not
where are
there,
they?
like.
Where are they?
Well, I have like a couple different, and that was an
They're
older
on
one, so I
there.
wanted to get to the new ones.
That's
Um,
good, so I just want to make sure they're protected because they were pretty adamant about maintaining that service for our community.
Correct, and there's a lot of things that going through this process of organizations, especially here at the GSB, that we're not, that it was maybe on a calendar, it wasn't being captured, and now going through Facilitron, changing that, it's been a challenge. ARP has been one of them because they used to store things here and we don't have space, so there's just we're working through some of those challenges.
No, I think Facilitron's been a good addition. because
And we
there's
want to
more
make
coordination.
sure that we're meeting the needs of our community while also being able to continue the business of the district as well. And so I know that that particular group is one group that the team has been working with to make sure that they have the dates and all of that they need, because it's a big time block. I mean,
It
it's
is.
4 months
Yeah, it is.
of
I
time
agree.
that is captured in that one space, and we have to make adjustments and move things around, so.
Yes.
And I think we just have to also, as a board, recognize that, yes, these are our district facilities, but they're also supported through taxpayers' dollars. That is the most important thing. And so it's nice to see how much money we are actually
Giving
allowing
back
our
to the
commu- Yeah,
community.
to the community. I think that's a very positive effect, and that's a good thing to keep, showing people that we help.
Any other questions?
No? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Rizzo.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Human Resources, Mr. Olet.
Chair Furry, Board, Superintendent.
So we have 1101, request board approval of personnel items.
And this is the preliminary as it grows towards the board meeting.
Okay, do we have any questions for Mr. Olet?
One of our smaller lists. It's always nice to see it, for the most part.
Well, it's the
probably not gonna stay.
it's the lull before the
Yeah,
end
let's
of the
see.
year.
Yeah,
It's-
you're right. And it's only halfway through,
Yeah.
so.
Are you finding we're able to fill those ESSER positions with, or eliminate those through attrition, retirements?
I will tell you that that was a topic of conversation in the last principals meeting, and it will, from this point forward, continue to be an area of focus based on superintendent's directives to kind of move forward with senior staff and the school sites to target each position as they come open and see if attrition helps move folks from the grant funded positions to the general
Because that's
funded
going to take a
positions.
while, so we need to.
Yeah, and we also are getting into the season where, for example, in March, we're going to send out our inventory survey, for lack of a better term, to find out how our folks are going to move forward. Are they coming back next year?
So have we been doing that at all up until this time?
Which piece?
The attrition piece?
We are looking at every single position that is posted and having conversation around, is this a position that we need to do a temporary for? Is it something that we just will not fill right now? Or is it something that we need to fill? So every position, our school-based leaders as well as our directors are aware that nothing will be posted before it is approved by senior staff, really looking at that attrition piece.
Okay, and do we know how many positions are funded through ESSER right now?
So that will be on your February 20th update that you did request.
Okay.
It's February 20th.
Yep.
For yes, it's February 20th.
Okay.
She's looking at me like.
I'm just curious the number of positions that are funded through ESSER. Yeah.
Yes, we have all of that by school, by department of what positions are funded.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to say that FPC is going to be hurting. When I look at the 3 retirements here, those are long-term employees. And Linda Longo's been the bookkeeper there forever.
Yes. Jim's been there forever.
Forever.
Grace
Yeah,
has
Jim's
been there forever.
and so is Grace. That's what I'm saying. They are long-term employees.
Little piece of FPC's heart is going to
Yeah,
retire.
definitely. So,
Yes.
hate to see that, but time moves on.
Okay, any other questions, comments? No? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, so we're just going to move on to 21.01, old business. Any old business?
I do.
Okay.
Are we gonna be revisiting dress code, or when will we be doing that?
Well, this time of year we'll address in the spring we'll begin to address our code of conduct, dress code going into
We do that
next year.
yearly, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I've heard more than one complaint about tails and ears, even down to elementary school, and some people being upset about it, so.
But is it really happening?
Yeah, my son has told me that it does.
No, it's really happening. I've asked also, it's happening at high school.
But it's not
level,
dress
too.
code. I mean, just plain simple, it's not dress code. So I just.
Does that need to be stated?
Well, enforcement's another issue.
I can't imagine why it would have to be stated in there. It's
Right. No, it's
not
not.
part of the dress code.
No, you're right.
So whatever
Is it
school
just
it's
a
happening
matter
at,
of
then school
enforcement?
administration needs to be aware and it needs to be dealt with at the school level.
I hear you very, very clearly, but there are people who challenge, it's not stated that I can't wear my.
Do we have to be that specific?
If we need to open this policy up to say you can't wear a tail or ears to school, we can do that. But
I mean,
is that?
that's ridiculous.
But is that
Mr.
needed
Delaney,
for-
we'd love to hear from
happening.
you.
Yeah, from an enforcement perspective.
I haven't read your dress code policy, but I would be willing to bet that there's a line in there that says anything that's a distraction to the
Yes,
educational
there
environment.
is.
This sounds like this would fall under that category.
There
I
is
think
a
your
line that says
principals
that.
and school-based administrators are empowered to enforce dress code as written.
100%.
I mean, I don't think you can wear hats or masks and stuff like that, so this would be the same.
Yeah, I agree.
Parents just need to know, keep the tails at home.
Private parents don't even know.
Put the
it,
ears
so
in
they
the
can't-
closet or the drawer or wherever.
Yeah, this is, I mean, after
It's
school,
school.
you can do what you want, but
Yeah.
while you're here, you
Wear
gotta
your
follow
tail at
the
home
dress
in the
code.
afternoon.
I agree.
Okay.
It's true.
So it's just a matter
Oh
of.
my God, I can't even believe we're having this
It is
conversation.
what I'm
It
thinking
is.
about. It is happening. It's real.
So we just need to make sure that policy is being enforced, correct?
That should not be entertained at school at all.
I mean, I don't like being the person to call the principal, so, yeah.
No, you're right. It should be enforced. It should be. It's in there.
All right.
And it is a distraction. That's part of what a lot of the kids are complaining about, that they can't concentrate because they have to look at this.
I'm shocked that this is even happening.
I can wear a headband that has, I'm gonna use the cat one, the headband.
Yeah.
It's a little push-on
Like
headband.
for Halloween or something.
Or people would likely wear it maybe in the fall time, as their decorative piece.
I have no problem with that, but if you have an accompanying tail with you, no.
Well, I think that I remember this was before we were on the board, but this policy was drafted. And even in the conversation that I overheard, it was, let's move this forward and we'll revisit it again to see if some modifications need to be made. So
maybe I have to put tails in my head and then they'll come up with something else. Fingernails or whatever else.
I'm with Delaney. We don't need to add it. We don't.
Well,
We have direction on.
Yeah. I mean, if you set a precedent that every little thing's got to be detailed, then what's the next one?
Exactly right.
So it just keeps going.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
it's something we have to deal with.
Yes.
Maybe we should put out an emergency press release that says no tails or ears to school.
Thank you for
been a long
the feedback
day,
for
so
the direction for this.
Hey, real quick question for the board, because I don't have the policy in front of me. Does it state, where it says like, no distractions, does it state something about except for special events? And we've had like 60s, 70s, 80s, which are fantastic. Are we like breaking policy, or is that kind of included in that language?
But if you were to wear something on those days that caused a distraction, it will be the same. It will be same thing. But
well, I guess I'm just asking for things like Halloween or special events. Do we need to be that specific to just say anything that causes a distraction, except for like, or like, except for, exceptions apply for special events or something like that. I just want to make sure we're not breaking policy if it doesn't allow for those special events.
I'm pretty sure
It's in there.
They all get a memo for like Halloween, like this is what you can't do and this is what you can.
Yes,
So I feel
there
like
is
it's pretty
special
clear.
events listed in the, I believe, in the dress code. Yeah, it is in there.
All right, so there is.
Yes, it's in there.
Yes.
There is reference
okay.
to that, so.
Then I think it sounds like it covers our bases.
Okay,
Good.
very good. Okay, any more old business? Okay, new business?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Earlier yesterday, we, Mr. Delaney and myself had a conversation about Board Policy 213, which is our policy for legal counsel. And at this point, I would like to recommend that we look to revise that and get it to where it needs to be in a more generic form, so it never has to be changed again. So
What- a little
regardless
bit
of
more
what direction we go.
broader,
Yes,
yeah, so it's
yes,
not
it's very
limiting.
specific here, yes, and then we can get
It's
it.
up to interpretation, so we should make it just spell it out.
Yeah, it's just real easy.
Make it
more
broad.
generic, and we can, it'll take us time to do that anyway, but under the circumstances we have now, this is an emergency situation, so it wouldn't affect that. But we need to get that changed,
I think it's a good idea.
that's all.
Make it as broad as
Yeah,
possible.
just make
So,
it broad and
Yeah.
We'll
generic.
draft some
Yeah, when
language.
it comes to
will
legal
somebody draft
representation-
language and bring it back for possible
Yeah,
advertising?
he
Will
probably has
you give-
plenty.
We can work together in
Yeah.
order to
And
get
make
that
it-
done
yeah, I
and
don't
bring
think
it
it's gonna be
before.
complex, it's just we need to get it right.
It's probably
And
tweaking
then
a
we'll be
word
ahead
or
of the
two.
game instead of always trying to catch up. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that would
we
be
should
good.
not be
That's it.
limiting ourselves, especially when it comes to legal representation.
Yeah,
so.
all right, that's it, that's all I had.
Okay. All right, if there's no more new business, we will move on to public comment.
We have Mr. Mike Costello.
All right, please go forward. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Cocciola, and right on subject about school attorney, school board attorney. Not specific about a attorney, but the issue. We've gone through now, I've been following this for a couple of years now, and we've gone through a Flagler Youth Orchestra director, we went through, or administrator, we went through a school board superintendent, we're going through a attorney, and this board is not telling the community why. We have never gotten a reason, any of it, although there were allegations unproven, and certainly upon analysis, unwarranted. But why? Do you have, and are you willing to, are you going to, give this community a reason why you just fired the school board attorney? Just that simple. It seems like there may be a plan here, but I can't figure out what the plan is. I go through things in my mind saying, well, maybe the board is a little too tight with builders, and they want another shot at school impact fees to lower them. Maybe they have an agenda that is not part of a school agenda. It is a cultural or something agenda. What is the agenda for these dismissals? I don't care what you call them. You didn't renew a contract. The other one, you just insulted enough to have her quit. But you do this. So how do you expect to have a good bond with people who come here to serve, good people who come here to serve and help build this school system into the best? How do you attract the best? How do you hold the best? How do you stop scaring, insulting, frightening, and tossing out the best? I think this community needs to know what your agenda is. Why are you doing this? Is there some cultural reason? Are you going to go after, what are you going to go after next? Are you going to go after teachers next? I mean, is that what we're gonna do here? If you have cultural issues, are you gonna go after teachers? Because maybe they're turning these kids into critical thinkers. God knows you don't want to do that, do you? We all know that that's probably a four-letter word to some people with cultural warriors. So you don't want critical thinkers. Maybe you're going to go after teachers who are teaching kids to be critical thinkers so they get jobs, compete against everybody in the world for the good jobs, the good everything in this world. Maybe you'll go after the kids. I don't know. Maybe you're trying to dumb down the kids so that they'll stay in Flagler County. Maybe the result is pretty good, but not the methodology. Maybe you have other motivations, but you need to tell us why. Why did you just wipe out these people knowing that somebody else will be on the chopping block? I mean, who are you going to hook your talons into next? Everybody should be thinking about that. You should be explaining that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any other members of the public signed up? No? Would anybody else like to come forward? Okay, seeing no one approaching, we will move on to closing comments.
I'm good, I don't have anything.
Okay. Do you have anything?
I don't have anything, and just welcome Mr. Delaney.
Yes,
Thank you for
that's true.
attending.
I'm proud of us for having a meeting in an hour.
Yeah, very efficiently done today. Anything else? Ms. Hunt, do you have anything to, any closing comments?
Thank you for asking, but I do not.
Okay, great. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Mr. Delaney. And board, thank you for the time invested this morning at our retreat. And we had some great conversation there. And I'll ask Superintendent Moore, do you have anything?
Happy 108th day of school.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being
80
here.
more to go, is it?
Okay, this meeting is adjourned.